diver who sails upon the wind in aerial companionship to float among my friends. And you, who are the fate of heart, can now be born with wings. A song of love unfolds to you as Mother Nature sings. And I am the wind who cradles freedom's heart to kiss your face good morning, to forge a brand new start.
I'm standing on the edge with a vision in my head. My body screams, release me. My dreams, they must be fed. I rise up to this temple where the mortals fear to tread, where peace becomes simplicity and goes where nature's led. I'm standing on the edge with a vision in my head. My body screams, release me. My dreams, they must be fed. I rise up to this temple where the mortals fear to tread, where peace becomes simplicity and goes where nature's led. If you follow with your feelings, then the wind will do your healing and hold you in her arms as soft as night. If you think that you are reeling in the ecstasy you're feeling, and you know it's just no use to even fight, you're in light, you're in light, you're in light, you're in light. Far beyond the rat race, my spirit becomes one and bends along the flow of air and dances with the sun. The sparkle of the daylight and the whisper of the moon beckons like a child's playground with a piper's mystic tune. For heaven comes to take me with a holy song that shakes me to show my soul the freedom that is right. In a world of mass confusion and a master of illusion, let the blind be born with wings to give them sight. You're in light, you're in light, you're in light, you're in light. edge, with a vision in my head. My body screams, release me. My dreams, they must be fed.
Incoming! Seat in. Good. Go! Have to turn a little right, please.
When the sky is blue and the sunshine rolls above the mountain tops, sun gets hot. Gear is packed, ready to go. Fire up the engines, let the big bird roll. The whole world's awake, I'm feeling fine. Let the boys up front know I think it's time to go cruising with the top down. Stack 'em up, Jack, way above the ground. We're cruising with the top down. It's the music in the air, listen to the sound. The wind on the lines kind of tunes my mind with the picture of a newborn day. The colors and shapes above the old landscape will take my breath away. So come on up, don't be slow. We're riding on a rainbow to a pot of gold. Hang on, boys, we're on the run, rocking and rolling in the noonday sun. We'll go cruising with the top down. Stack 'em up, Jack, way above the ground. We're cruising with the top down. It's the music in the sky, listen to the sound. Cruising with the top down. Stack 'em up, Jack, way above the ground. Cruising with the top down. It's the music in the sky, listen to the sound. When I'm tired of hearing what Wall Street's fearing and I'm caught up in the 9 to 5. There's a deadline hanging, the telephone's clanging, and the paper is 10 feet high. Gear is packed, I'm ready to go. Fire up the engine, let the big bird roll. The whole world's waiting, I'm feeling fine. Let the boys out front know I think it's time to go cruising with the top down. Stack 'em up, Jack, way above the ground. We're cruising with the top down. It's the music in the sky, listen to the sound.
Okay. Ready.
Set, go!
John, you're gonna have to wait for me out here. Okay.
You can hang around here, go shopping at Sears, living out a Waffle's dream. You can take up golf, visit cousin Rolf. You can even have pie and ice cream. But I don't fit with this normal shit. My baby says that it's a sin. But you can bet your gear on a can of beer. I'll jump until the sun goes in. Tell the Waffles upstate, dinner can wait. I hate to make my baby cry. I meet the new in-laws when the polar cap thaws. Right now I just gotta skydive. I hear the engines rumble, I gotta take a tumble, grab me a piece of the wind. You can bet your gear on a can of beer. I'll be jumping till the sun goes in.
Bless me, Father, for I have sinned.
What is it, my son?
Well, I've fallen in love with a waffle.
A waffle?
Yes, that's a person that does not skydive.
Oh, that is serious. I guess you'll have to do some penance.
Yes, Father?
Well, that'll be 2 dead centers, 16 points, and a 60-way diamond.
Oh, hell, no problem.
That's on the same skydive.
That's a problem.
If the angels ask when I breathe my last, if there's anywhere that I like to be, well, I know for sure it's hanging out the door, leaving from a DC-3. When old St. Peter comes to read my meter, checking on original sin, well, I'll say, son, I've had my fun, jump till the sun goes in. Yes, I'll say, son, I've had my fun, jump till the sun goes in.
You look at me in a different way. I feel like I'm floating on air. And you capture me in the moments I love. I turn around and I find you there, holding my image in the palm of your hand, in a way only you understand. I let my heart go, my spirit is free, and I picture you as you picture me, closing it on your heart. Heaven only knows what you see. Picture me here playing my part, darling, never let me be. When I stand all alone with my feet on the ground, waiting for that image you see, I turn my eyes to the sky, let my mortal soul fly, and I picture you as you picture me. There's 1,000 words written deep in my eyes when I feel the touch of your gentle hand. With the roar of the wind and you by my side, I pray to God that we never land. For the song that it sings, that's an ecstasy ring through my body, as endless as time. In your smile I see it's just the way it should be, as I picture you and you picture me, closing in on your heart. Heaven only knows what you see. Picture me here playing my part, darling, never let me be. for that image sea. I turn my eyes to the sky, let my mortal soul fly, and I picture you as you picture me. Picture me closing in on your heart. Heaven only knows what you see. Picture me here playing my part. Darling, never let me be. When I stand all alone with my feet on the ground, waiting for that image to see. I turn my eyes to the sky, let my mortal soul fly, and I picture you as you picture me.
Lift me up beyond my means, where winds caress my fingertips. Cradle me in velvet power, and brush your grace upon my lips. That I may know what freedom's wrought, and burn the hawk's desire. To ride the sky into journey's end, and quench a passion's fire. And to all of you we've left below, in life's confusing undertow, I leave this signpost just to show that we are simply trying. We reach beyond the mortal bonds and call to you forever on. Spread your wings upon the wind and invite you to come fly.
It is high adventure like no other, a dream shared by all mankind. It is the ultimate fantasy. It is to fly. In one sense, skydivers are human meteors, plummeting toward Earth. But relative to each other, they literally fly, maneuvering above, below, and around each other at will. For these athletes of the air, the playing field's the 3-mile column of blue sky, with players swooping from one end to the other in less than a minute, reaching speeds of over 200 miles per hour. In this stadium, there are no seats on the 50-yard line, no cheering fans. But no sport offers more thrilling suspense or more spectacular action. Join the Dream Team, skydiving's top guns, as they propel us through this fantasy world that for them has become reality. From the time when early man first marveled at flocking birds, he has been fascinated by the concept of flight. As technology progressed, the limits of human imagination expanded, and man's creative energies were focused on reaching for the sky. From the fable of Icarus to comic book heroes like Superman, the longing to fly has symbolized the aspirations of civilization. Yet if reaching the clouds presented one set of difficulties, safely returning to Earth presented another. Centuries ago, Leonardo da Vinci watched the occupants of a burning building leap to their deaths. To save others from similar tragedies, he conceived of the first parachute. Leonardo said, "It is possible for a man suspended from a frame of linens to descend from great heights unharmed." By World War II, the parachute had become a widely used military tool. In peacetime, these war veterans brought their airborne skill home and called it a sport. The 50s and 60s saw numerous attempts at trial and error refinements in equipment and technique. Unfortunately, the errors were many and the refinements few.
But then out of that craziness comes a new idea. Well, the idea that probably revolutionized the sport the most of any to date has been the square parachute. Now, I say square parachute.
Modern square canopies are aerodynamically designed to descend with a 35-mile-per-hour forward glide. This speed provides not only steering control, but the capacity to dive, spiral, hover, and even at times gain altitude. But the advantages of the square parachute are most apparent during landings. Modern skydives come in all shapes and sizes, the most popular being relative work, in which the skydivers fall together in formation. Control of approach speeds and descent rates spell the difference between success and failure.
I never knew that world existed, which is how most people think of the sport. And I made one skydive and loved it and just kept going back and going back and going back, and it became like an addiction. You know, I sold it.
Canopy relative work follows many of the same principles as freefall relative work. Under canopy, jumpers fly their chutes in relation to each other, hooking together in formation. Today, skydiving is a professional sport and a popular recreational activity for hundreds of thousands of enthusiasts. But the sport's image remains tainted by the public's misconception of skydivers as thrill-seeking daredevils engaged in a game of aerial Russian roulette.
The only way they could possibly grasp the concept of leaving an aircraft is if it was on fire. And seeing as their aircraft that we're using aren't generally on fire when we're leaving, they just can't begin to understand that this is a sport, this is something we do.
The Dream Team, skydiving's first all-star squad, was created to bring a new image to the sport. From among the world's foremost skydiving competitors, an elite group was chosen. Their purpose to debut the sport as it is today and to provide a glimpse of its future.
What we've got here this week are all the best jumpers in the world. Not just some of the best jumpers in the world. I mean, we've got the best jumpers in the world right here today. The only time I get to see most of these guys is when I'm wearing one uniform and they're wearing another uniform.
In a situation where winning is everything, most of these teams won't even talk to each other, let alone work together. So the idea behind the Dream Team was to break down those rivalries and to redirect that competitive intensity in one collective effort to really show off the sport at its best.
We're real sincere about what we're doing. We're very sincere about this. We think we have an exciting sport. We think it's exhilarating, and I hope through the course of the events that we're currently involved with, we get the opportunity to show the world why birds sing, because we can fly.
One of skydiving's most satisfying thrills is to complete a dive, meaning to successfully build a formation. Making this happen requires individual talent, teamwork, and intricate planning. Like a football coach inventing new plays, Dream Team organizers choreograph complex, never-before-attempted dives. Each position in a formation is unique and must be assigned to that skydiver best suited to the job. Once selected and briefed, jumpers rehearse their movements on the ground. It is during these dirt dives that each person develops a mental image of the maneuvers he or she will be depended on to execute. During the climb to altitude, the team members review the specifics of their assignments. Multiple aircraft are used to reduce the time between the first and last skydiver's exits. Several jumpers actually climb outside the plane and cling to the door frame to further shorten the lineup.
Ready, set, go!
Despite these efforts, the aircraft speed separates the jumpers by thousands of feet. Early exiters assume an arch position to slow their descent with wind resistance, while the last to leave dive headfirst toward the now building formation, flaring bird-like at the last instant to break to the speed of those already in position. Just a 1 mile per hour variance in the fall rate of any two jumpers will mean a 4-foot altitude difference in less than 3 seconds. This makes at 120 miles per hour even a 1% margin of error unacceptable and even dangerous. 60 seconds and 2.5 miles later, team members track horizontally away from each other to find space enough to deploy their canopies. As the chute opens, the frantic pace of free fall abruptly shifts to the serenity of the parachute ride. Yet even here, there are challenges in the form of shifting winds, requiring skydivers to constantly maneuver in order to touch down safely on target. The dive is not officially over until the performance of each participant has been analyzed in the video review.
That doesn't look like it's hard to tell. We'll check
It looks like it's, that's right. That's right.
You gotta watch the whole, she came in like this and then come out, but I think you're good, sir. Okay.
This guy stays on you.
Right.
They're right here.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, now, let's watch this stair step and see what it does.
The entire dive is captured on film by skydiving's most dedicated professionals, the free fall cinematographers. Combining technical and skydiving skill with visual artistry, these flying photographers shoot the action from every conceivable angle, using nearly 30 pounds of equipment that includes 2 kinds of still cameras, film and video cameras for instant replay.
For a minute, you get to forget that you're falling, and you need to forget it, because if you don't, then the beauty is gone. The beauty of it is flight, and part of the filming is filming flight, and you have to fly to film it, and that's why it's challenging to me, because there is no doubt that it's spectacular. It's fast, it's action-packed, it's fast, but yet, because the camera is going at the same speed as they are, it is really a sensation of floating. As you see in all these shots, you know, the sensation is really of flying like a bird, and that's why we like it so much.
With the Dream Team, the cinematographer actually became part of the formation, an extraordinary innovation comparable to a network cameraman taking the field during game time and capturing the inside action on film.
To me, it's a way of life, and I can't stay away from it. It's where I feel in touch with myself. It's where I feel that I realize my dreams. It's where I feel in communication with my subconscious, and I'm able to really get fulfilled, you know, as far as life is concerned.
The Dream Team seems to glide effortlessly through its aerial gymnastics, but with each dive offering less than a minute's practice time, only the best athletes with many years of training are able to attain this level of performance. Most of the team members made their first skydives using static lines, which opened their chutes automatically as they exited the aircraft, and did little to help jumpers learn stability in free fall. The chutes themselves were the old-style round canopies, which offered little steering control and left novice jumpers at the mercy of the wind.
And that was about the first jump course. They'd run you through it and throw you out of the plane, and you'd hit the ground, you'd roll, and you'd go, ouch, and you'd get up and you'd be sore. It's not like it is today.
Today, learning to skydive is not only easy, but virtually anyone can do it. The revolutionary method that makes this possible is tandem jumping, with a new parachute built for 2.
When you've learned to fly, you always went first as a passenger. They didn't expect you to take the aircraft off by yourself. While skydiving, you always had to go by yourself the first time. Very few people are willing to take that kind of a risk with themselves. But now, due to several technological advances, we can take passengers on a skydive. And this makes it very easy for a lot of people to do it.
All right.
That is incredible!
All right. Congratulations.
What a landing, my God, what a landing!
Hold it. There you go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. Oh,
My pleasure.
What'd you think of it?
that is the most extraordinary feeling in the entire
So far, she's the livest
world.
in promotion.
Oh, jeez, that is. Mom. Oh, I wish I could do it. That's so beautiful. Oh, I'm gonna cry.
It was fabulous. It is a real experience that everyone who is adventurous should try.
So you think you'd like to do that again someday?
I'd love to. Can I go on the next trip? No.
We went right through a rainbow. It was gorgeous. It was unbelievable.
It's just incredible. Oh, it takes my breath away.
New honorary Dream Team members receive special privileges, like being delivered by parachute to their own birthday parties. This celebration is surely unequaled in all her years. All 82 of them. First-time experiences like these come with the territory, and every team member has stories of special jumps that recreated that first-time exhilaration.
The best one I've ever done was the friendship jump with the Russians after the World Meet in '85. We did, it was a 28-way formation, and the feeling that we got from doing that together was, you know, they can't get along in the Kremlin and in the Pentagon, but we can get along in free fall.
The one that gave me the biggest thrill I've ever had was at the convention last year in August. I had a bag lock, which is when the canopy comes out and the line's unstowed, but the canopy itself doesn't come out of the bag. So I was still connected to the thing going through 1,000 feet, and I had to kind of pull it apart with my fingers up here so I could get disengaged from the garbage, fall back face to earth, and pull my reserve, and I was very low, about 2.5 seconds from the ground. Very low.
My most memorable experience is being the first to jump off El Capitan in Yosemite National Park. We did that, gosh, I guess 1980. And that was real exciting because we didn't know if it was possible or not. We heard a couple people were going to attempt it but didn't succeed. So we spent 11 days up there filming, had mountaineers up there and mountain climbers investigating their launch sites. It's a pretty big ordeal.
Each of the Dream Team athletes is a fierce competitor, anxious for the day when skydiving will become a regularly televised spectator sport. Competitive skydiving is a dizzying contest in which 4- and 8-person teams race through a rapid-fire set of compulsory maneuvers over a series of jumps. In a step toward official Olympic recognition, Dream Team members kicked off this year's opening ceremonies by forming the Olympic rings in freefall over the stadium in Seoul, Korea. The future also holds promise for novice skydivers through a free-fall simulator known as the Vertical Wind Tunnel. In a single day at the tunnel, beginners can acquire free-fall skills that once took hundreds of jumps to master. The tunnel also allows veteran skydivers to refine their skills economically and to learn the latest maneuvers such as those highlighted in the new freestyle event. In freestyle, individuals and couples artfully perform a series of challenging aerobatics that emphasize creativity and aesthetic appeal. The rapid evolution of the sport is best illustrated by the succession of records being set in large formations. Recently, a record 60-woman formation was built, as well as the first 100 and 120-person hookups. The Europeans held the record with 126 skydivers. Now, Dream Team organizers have had another breakthrough, linking 144 jumpers in freefall. And the logistics of a 1,000-person formation are already being examined. Skydiving's limits, if any, are nowhere in sight. For the next frontier in action sports, people everywhere will be looking up. And when they do, the Dream Team will be there.
Okay, jumpers, listen up. No talking on the aircraft. No flying over the runway. I do not want to see any more low. Anybody caught punching clouds will be grounded. No having a good time.
I do not want to see any more low openings.
There'll be no smiling on the runway, even if you have.
changing pattern in the sky. Oh God, come see this motor fly. I wanna ride the hurricane, hear the wind call out my name. There's a thunder in my eyes, and I'll never be the same. Oh, I have wings, I can fly like an eagle. I have wings, I can touch the sky. I have wings, I can fly like an eagle. You and I will fly, 'cause I have wings. I have wings. I have wings. I have wings.
Hello, may I speak to the mayor, please?
No, Roger Nelson.
Hello.
Mr. McElroy, Roger Nelson.
Yes, Roger.
Yes, I'm calling in response to our last conversation. I would rather have complete control of the skydiving event instead of having too many authorities involved.
Because I feel it'll be much more professional and competent. I do have the most background and field of the skydiving, and I feel the other authorities wanting to get involved would be more of a complication than an asset. How do you feel on that?
I think that's excellent, Roger. I think what we'd have to do is sit down with the airport manager, who is under contract at the airport, and our corporation counsel, John Garrity, our attorney, and work that out. But I think it's a very positive thought.
All right, well, thank you. I'll get back to you in a few days.
Welcome to the beginning of the world's greatest parachute meet. Again! Great brother convention. Let the convention begin!
Hey, freak brother, you gonna dive today? Come on, get your shoot on. We got an appointment in the sky. Freak brothers. Ooh, ooh. Take me up there, boy. Way up high. Do some skydiving.
brothers, I take this honor to present Sylvia the HOTS Award for Hags Over 30. Sylvia has surpassed another great mark in her skydiving career. Let's have a belated birthday cheer for Sylvia. Happy birthday, Sylvia. Freak Herd.
Focus your eye on the big blue sky, just as far as you can see. Everybody's flying, filling up the sky, talking about you and me, yeah. Talking about being free. Hey, freak brother, as soon as you arrive, you better get in touch with your feelings, freak brother. Then we're gonna skydive, yeah. Fill up the big blue sky. Now that you got the picture, what you gonna do? Now that you got the picture, what you gonna do?
By popular demand, I had to have this band back. Because we're brothers, and they're brothers. Get rowdy, get ready for the Blues Brothers. Okay, gather around, friends. We've got a special presentation for the herd. The people have brought us every turboprop we've ever had, and the ones who provide continual entertainment with their ground annex. The ones sometimes found laying by the wayside. I present the Possum Herd Award.
Hey, freak brother. Yeah, what do you want? You got your shoot on? I got mine on, man. You got yours? The plane's getting warm, my man. It is? Well, shit. I think we better go do it. I think so, too, brother. I'm ready. So am I.
Okay, biplane it. Take 1 foot out at a time. Come on down, Deanna. Okay, grab a hold of my main lift web. Hang on.
Let's go!
Come get yourself together and hop onto this fancy flying feathers, because it's going to be you and us forever. Spread your wings and think for a while. It's forever. When it's sunny, it feels better. When it's rainy, hail, I hope for new weather. Late at night, a chill keeps you alive and ready to complete the ride. Spread your wings and fly for a while. It's forever. Go along with it, feel it, become part of it. It's only air helping you down.
quarter flaps.
Coming up on your right echelon, let us know when we're 1 minute prior, and let us know when you got to cut.
Stand by. All aircraft cut.
Okay, ready, set, go!
Okay, ready, set, Jay!
Part of the uniqueness of From Wings Came Flight had to do with the nature by which the project was undertaken. This was the first project in skydiving that I was aware of where the objective was to shoot a picture. Its origins were to try to capture in a very different and very real way the elegance of our sport.
almost a decade, there had been 4 separate camps in the country with regard to winning competitors. And the only time that these 4 groups ever got together was for competitions. The concept behind the Dream Team was to get all those 4 groups to jump together and to create a collective goal rather than a competitive goal where someone had to be the winner and the loser.
There hadn't been an effort put together like this ever, with pulling all the people from around the country and around the world, the best skydivers there were, and making dives that were choreographed, color coordinated, and made specifically for skydiving and to be filmed. And it was just a luxury to be a part of that and to do some of the best skydives ever. We were doing things that had never been done.
That project that took on a concept, it took on a concept of, we're going to do something picture perfect. We're going to do something around a plan, and that plan is an artistic undertaking. And to me, that's where sport and art combined, and I think led to, I'll call it the precipitation process of new ideas, because the people that were involved with that project ultimately created a new sport.
All the films that had come before then would be viewed even a year or 2 later, and they would always be kind of comical to us, because the state of the art of relative work was progressing so rapidly during that phase that if you saw a movie that was 2 years old, you were looking at ancient history. And what was nice about the relative work portions of From Wings Came Flight is, you know, we finally got to form this all-star team, and we were able to set a standard that lasted for almost 2 decades. In other words, if a group of 16 jumpers goes up on a weekend today and can complete the exact same skydives we did back then, they'd really be pleased, even today.
The way skydiving was before the movie was pretty much relative work. There wasn't really jumping by yourself. One day in the Hills, we were at a party over at a friend of ours, Bill Bookman's house, and Bill had this killer stereo, and we were cranking the music up, and Norman was there, and I kind of knew Norman, but I didn't know him really well. It was like, you know, Carl Banish and DeLuca and Cottingham and Norm Kent, and you know, you'd run into him, but you didn't really know him very well. And then I said, well, I've got some stuff that I'd really like you to see, and it's kind of like aerial gymnastics. It's not like anything that's going on right now. And he says, well, you know, you ought to talk to my wife, because she's kind of doing something like that. And I didn't know Deanna at all then. And he says, yeah, she's doing kind of like dancing in free fall. Then I called Deanna, and it turned out that her and I were pretty much doing the same kinds of things. I think the biggest gift that we gave to the sport was we gave them some terminology. You weren't jumping by yourself anymore. You were doing freestyle. Freestyle could be whatever you wanted it to be. That's pretty much what Deanna and we both were emphatic about that there was no right or wrong way to do it, because it was freestyle. You got to just express yourself in free fall artistically, however you want.
All the film efforts up until that time had all been focused at relative work, relative work, relative work, but Wings Came Flight brought out this whole freestyle thing, and it took the blinders off the whole sport. I mean, all of a sudden we were dealing with 3 dimensions, and it just opened up a whole new way of thinking. And the seeds of the free flying that you see being done today, the seeds of the sky surfing on the ESPN shows that you see today, the seeds of it are all right there in From Wings Came Flight.
As I think back to those days when Ray Bright was teaching us how to visualize a back somersault with a full twist, and we were filming in the wind tunnel and actually trying to accomplish this, we found another mode of expression. And once we learned how to control three-dimensional flight, we figured out we could do anything. And the next thing you know, there are people free flying. And the next thing you know, there's a sport called freestyle. And it was a very wonderful thing to see this flower unfold.
From after From Wings Came Flight was released, I think there was a lot of wide-eyed, you know, what did we just see? You know, everybody went to the movie expecting to see a bunch of good relative work, but I think it was really a big debut for freestyle and freedom to go enjoy the sport as you like. I think everybody that makes a movie really hopes that their movie will come out and there will be something that will be fun to watch forever, you know, that it isn't something that you watch one or two times and then stick it on your shelf. You know, you can go back and watch From Wings Came Flight and watch some of the shots of Deanna and Norman working, just the two of them together, and now you can start to grasp the beauty of it. It was that thing that was given to the sport, that little check mark in the growth of skydiving, that pretty much, you know, took it to a level, but opened all these doors for people to go in all the directions that they're going now.
Just the way it should be, as I picture you and you picture me, closing in on your heart. Heaven only knows what you see. Picture me.
The film really was intended to create an impact on the viewer, and I can just remember looking around the room as the film rolled and seeing the reflections off that silver screen in people's eyes. And one of the things that I can really remember is I remember not just the eyes of the people who were, for the most part, their eyes were wide open, and they were, I think, not just surprised at what they were looking at, they were pleasantly surprised.
What most skydivers are not that aware of is that the whole From Wings Came Flight movement was part of a two-prong strategy where Norm and I and everyone combined forces to produce the footage. Norm took it and went after a skydiver market, and I took the same footage and did a different kind of edit and put a spin on it for the general public, the non-skydiving general public. And the result of that was Flight of the Dream Team, which got sold off to several cable markets and really penetrated the marketplace and showcased the sport to the general public in a way that hadn't been done.
From my perspective as a producer, working with a pure art form and then taking a bunch of skydivers and trying to push them into an art form was a very challenging undertaking. I can remember the days that I walked around during our shooting scenes with a red button on the front of my hat that said, "Don't panic." When I was skydiving with the Air Bears, we were in national competition, and first time I ever really got to work with Norman was around 1984 National Skydiving Championships. I know back in those days, we were more interested in winning a world championship, and I think one of the things that happened is we as people made a switch in our thinking because of Norman's filming. And we saw things in his film work, even when we were in training, that helped us as athletes, but I think more importantly, portrayed what we were doing accurately.
being a competitor, I've done a lot of skydives, and most all of them have been with cameramen. And those jumps, the cameraman is more of a tool for us so that we can do better in our skydives, and so we can analyze and progress. And the great thing about jumping with Norman was he brought out the artistic side and a whole nother level of the beauty of the sport, and where now all of a sudden we weren't skydiving for ourselves to be better, we were actually skydiving for the camera and showing the sport as a whole to everyone in a way that it has not been seen before.
When he did From Wings Came Flight, it was more like that was his movie to show who he was, what he wanted to do artistically, and nobody knew what the movie was going to be like, you know, because it was all in his head. So when you finally did see this From Wings Came Flight, it was like nothing you'd ever expected, and you'd seen all the footage that he'd taken and stuff, but you just didn't know how it was going to be put together. And I think anybody that's seen it is pretty amazed with how it flows and the different things that happen in the movie.
I know from living with Norman for years and years, one of the things that I really developed a very clear understanding about was this thing called point of view. And not only did it help me understand it as a producer, the point of view element of Norman's cinematography has taught me a lot about life. With Norman's work, one of the things you're always going to see is you're going to see all the points of view.
Okay, you have to remember that I've had a front row seat on Norman's whole career, okay? And I remember that back in 1983, the big question when we landed was, did you get it? Did you get it? Meaning, was whatever skydive we had just done, was it within the four corners of the frame? For example, the 72-way world record. That was a big accomplishment back then for Norman to get the shot, okay? Then, just a few years later, we were into Flight of the Dream Team and From Wings Came Flight, and now we had evolved, and he had evolved to an entirely new level where you no longer landed wondering whether he had gotten the image within the four corners of the frame. Now it was, you know, did we get the camera moved properly, and was it lit properly, and did we get shadow from Norman on the formation and things like that. So, you know, we had come up a level. Then all of a sudden we're launched into the big leagues. Cliffhanger, Drop Zone, Eraser. These are, you know, $72 million projects, and there's a lot more riding on it. And so I've seen him go from just trying to get the image in the frame all the way to being a, you know, director of photography with his credit, you know, up front at the beginning of the movie.
I've worked with a few camera people in the industry, and working with Norman, we've jumped enough with each other that we can read each other really well and everything. A lot of videographers out there are just, you know, skydiving tripods. They pick an angle and they stay there, and they make you do all the work. They don't work with you, and there's been times with Norman where we've jumped and things haven't quite gone on the script, but we've always pulled out good stuff because, you know, we know how to work with each other, and he knows how to see the shot even though that wasn't the shot we were going for, and pull it out. You know, it brings the best out in me, and I have faith that he's going to show me in my best light.
See, and I've been able to take Norm and his talents. I personally have been able to take those things to the bank, if you will. You know, Norm isn't crazy about dealing with studio executives and, you know, temperamental production managers and things like that. While you know, I'm okay at those type things, and so Norm has been my secret weapon in cracking into an industry that is, you know, pretty well fortified.
One of my most memorable occasions, we had a very large formation, and there were actually two jumps, very high camera angle, very flat camera angle. And the next jump, we just took 6 of us up, and Norman's camera angle was going to be the perspective of looking right over the top of someone's backpack. And I said, Norman, how are you going to do that? How are you going to get your helmet up on that backpack? And he said, I've got another plan in mind. And so I packed up. We were turning jumps around very quickly. We were trying to take advantage of light. And I got my other rig on, and I'd hustle to the airplane. And I remember climbing in the Porter, sitting there with the engines running, and I saw Norman walking up with his camera. And I'm going, well, this would be interesting. He's probably going to shoot this from the airplane. And as he climbed in the airplane, he handed me his camera, and he handed me a roll of duct tape. I said, Norman, what are you doing? He said, I got to get this camera angle right. Well, what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to have you tape this camera, this 16-millimeter camera, to my hand, and I'm going to hold on to you as we go out of the airplane, and I want to lay my hand and camera right up on top of your backpack, and I want to shoot right across the back of your neck, and I want to look into the face of that person that's gripping you on the other side. There is a difference in the way things are done. I don't know that I've ever experienced anybody else who do anything like that.
I made my first skydive in January 1972. And here I am 25 years later. I know that since I was a little girl, I always wanted to dance. Who was going to say that I was going to end up dancing with the clouds? You know, dreams come true.